The story we're going to share with you right now will be one of the most powerful things that you have been exposed to at your age. Richie's a dad, okay, graduated from St. Anthony's. His son Michael grew up in the Old Bridge area and grew up, as you'll see on this the slides, you'll see all of his involvement in activities growing up. And to a point where sometime at the end of grammar school, somebody suggested to him he should get involved in wrestling. And all of a sudden, 4 years later, he's wrestling at West Virginia University. And he's on the same team with one of the greatest college wrestlers of all time. And at the same time, for those of you who follow, the sports without a ball, he was very involved in motocross. Okay, and actually had to make a decision at the end of high school. Should he become a professional rider in motocross, or should he go to college? And weighing it all out, he decided to go to college, where he wrestled at West Virginia University. And during the course of those years, had a chance to wrestle with some of the best wrestlers in the country. And then had a tragic accident after competing in college and prior to becoming a teacher and coach at Old Bridge High School down in Central Jersey. So we're going to hear the story today. We're going to see his life, okay? And Dad is going to explain all of these things. And by the grace of God right now, he's come through so much that he has everything now but the ability to talk. So it's going to be something I want, and I would expect nothing but your undivided attention as we find out something about the world that's out there that you're entering as you're leaving high school. So let's get Mr. Wojcik a big round.
Thank you, Coach Hurley, for that wonderful introduction. And we'll start right now. We will be showing a short video recounting who Mike was before his accident, followed by pictures of him in the hospital, and finally his recovery. Before you watch Mike's video and hear his message, I just want to share a short story that will explain why he does what he does. Very early in Michael's recovery, soon after he woke up from his coma, my wife and I would get phone calls from the hospital. Michael was constantly trying to rip out his breathing tube. He was suicidal. I went to visit him in the hospital and asked him how he was. At that time, he was able to communicate by pointing to letters on a letterboard. What he told me with tears in his eyes was, "Dad, I wish I never got on that ATV. I don't want to live a life without meaning." Today, he still cannot talk, eat any solid foods, drive a car, but Michael became committed to sharing his story with the hope that it can change lives. Mike wasn't expected to survive. The odds were against him. But as you can see, he is here with us today, and he believes it's because he has a message to deliver. And what we're going to do now is we're going to play a short 10-minute video. Okay. What the video fails to show is how Mike was robbed of the luxury to verbally communicate. So I am lending him my voice. I would like everyone to visualize that this is Michael speaking now. This is his message, and these are his words based purely on his account. Before I begin my presentation, I want to say it gives me great pleasure to be able to share my story with you, the students of St. Anthony, and all the faculty, and in front of legendary and Hall of Fame coach Bob Hurley. I also want to make it very clear, I am not here today to tell anybody how to live life and what they should and should not do. But I am here today to encourage you to make a lifestyle change. So you simply think of long-term consequences before you act. That is why a major goal I have in the presentations I give is to encourage people to make thinking before they act a habit, so they eventually do it ritually, and when it comes time in your life to make a critical decision, you remember my presentation. The bad news for me is by delivering a presentation, it's that despite all my hard work and careful choice of content to include, most of it will go in one ear and out the other. Researchers once ran a test to measure how much of a presenter's message sticks in the minds of their audience. They found that immediately after a presentation, listeners only remembered 50% of what was said. By the next day, that had dropped to 25%. And a week later, it was only 10%. I will give all you guys a heads up. I will be including everybody here in my presentation. My message today is a simple one. Think before you act. Every day we are faced with decisions that can have an impact far greater than we can imagine. Take a moment to think, reflect, and use your good judgment before doing something reckless. Because if not, in a matter of seconds, your life can be changed forever. The objectives of my presentation today are pretty basic. Number one, you will take a moment to analyze your life and think about all the things you have, how you've been blessed, the people you love, and the things you enjoy. Number two, you will hear a story of someone who had it all, had it snatched away right before his eyes, and who is now working harder than you can imagine getting it back. You will learn to take a step back and see your decisions from the outside. Detach yourself a bit from the moment and think of long-term consequences. You will receive some guiding principles on which to base your actions from the perspective of someone who is now struggling due to a dumb decision. Finally, you will be armed with some strategies to put what you've learned into practice in your daily life, starting today. My story begins in the summer of 2008. That summer, I was a young man who had everything he wanted. I had all the things that make a young man happy. I was a college graduate. I had a beautiful girlfriend, enjoyed playing the acoustic guitar and sing, and was always social. And I finally landed my dream job after years of hard work. I was all set to begin my adult life, but just a mere 3 weeks before I was to begin my career teaching and coaching, I was out celebrating, drinking alcohol, when something happened, something that forever changed me. We were partying hard, and I took a nap and woke up bored, so my friend said, let's take a ride on my ATV. I got on the back of my friend's ATV. He also had been drinking, and he drove right into a tree. The result of that accident for me was devastating and life-altering. I received a broken collarbone, many facial fractures, minor cuts and bruises. However, that was the good news. I suffered 2 ruptured arteries, one to my right arm and one to my brain. That was followed by 2 strokes. It was determined 3/4 of the right side of my brain had been destroyed. I was airlifted to a community hospital where they worked on me a little, but were unable to handle the extent of my injuries. My lungs were collapsed and I wasn't breathing. I was airlifted again to a trauma center where they performed life-saving techniques on me. It was touch and go for several days. It was an hour ride each way for my family and friends to visit. So in time, I got transferred to a rehabilitation hospital closer to home. That became my new home for 8 months, where I had to relearn everything. It was as if I was a 24-year-old baby. I just laid there unable to do a thing for myself. All I could do was listen. I would hear friends and family talk to me when they visited. It drove me nuts. I couldn't simply respond to them and tell them I'm okay or get me out of here. I will always remember the one time my sister came and told me my dad is proud of me because they had just got back from a benefit that West Virginia University wrestling team had for me. She said everyone was pulling for me. It was after that conversation, something just triggered in me. I remember I was an NCAA Division I wrestler. I refused to just lay around lifeless. My mindset was activated. I escaped from my enclosed area I was being detained in. I ripped off my diaper and refused to put it back on when I was yelled at by the nurse. I was on a mission, refusing to use walkers or a wheelchair. And I'm not proud of this, but I even headbutted a nurse. I can't remember the details of why I did, but after I headbutted her, I convinced myself she deserved it. Don't get me wrong, if it wasn't for the doctors and nurses, I would not be standing here in front of you today. Needless to say, it was a long, frustrating, lonely 8 months of living in a rehab hospital. As a Division I wrestler, therapy was a joke. So I fought to come home where my real therapy began. Although I was now able to live at home, many things changed in my life. But if I know anything, it's that there's always two ways to look at things. Is the glass half full or half empty? My life has been very different since the day I woke up. And I will never be that same person I once was. That was and still is a hard concept for me to accept and understand. However, with a positive attitude, I found an upside. I am forever changed, but I believe it's for the better. I have the same work ethic and perseverance, but I see life with a whole new set of eyes. I have an extreme appreciation for the little things in life, and my second chance at life is a precious gift. Now that I am in recovery, I see people walk, talk, laugh, socialize, and drive. These are all activities that I have to retrain my brain to do. We all have the mentality, it won't happen to me. But I am proof that bad things can happen to good people. Don't make the same mistake I did. The important lifelong lesson I took from this accident, and something I would like to encourage you all to do, is not to take a single thing for granted. Be happy with what you are blessed with, because you truly are blessed. Appreciate your ability to walk, talk, eat, drive, and even breathe. These are all things you can do today, but can be taken away from you tomorrow. Some things I witnessed while living in the hospital are things that will forever change me. They have made me look at my injuries and deficits.
All teachers to room 102. Thank you.
They have made me look at my injury and deficits as a blessing in disguise. I was surrounded by people who were paralyzed, people missing limbs, 30-year-olds with the mentality of a 5-year-old. One kid was going on 10 years in a wheelchair, unable to do anything but just sit there and listen. My first roommate was going on 5 years in a coma. His mom would come in our room crying and praying for him to wake up, or even just to move his finger every day. Seeing that truly broke my heart and changed me. So I will tell you, just be appreciative if you simply wake up in the morning. This brings me to the very core of why I present my personal life story, which is so difficult for me to revisit, but so necessary to talk about so that others may learn from it. I don't want anyone to go through the suffering that I have, so I feel it is my duty as well as my pleasure to bring some wise words from someone who has gone through a lot of struggle because of a dumb decision. I would compare making a decision to driving a golf ball. The slightest change when driving a golf ball will drastically change the destination of the ball. At the moment, it seems like nothing. It could be the position of your hands or feet, but when you hit that ball 200 or 300 yards, it gives it a completely new destination. You can compare that to decisions people make on a daily basis. At the time, a decision seems like nothing. But when you look at it 10 or 20 years from now, you could wind up with a completely different life. It could be any decision, such as where to work, who to date, whether or not to join a gym, whether or not to smoke, drink, do drugs, or even who to be friends with. When making a decision like driving a golf ball, you need to become conscious of every little change, because that little change might completely alter your life. For some reason, drinking alcohol, smoking cigarettes, and doing drugs are thought of as cool by kids in our society. Well, you might think it's cool now, but after smoking, drinking, and doing drugs for a while, will it be cool to become an alcoholic or to get cancer? You need to think about long-term consequences. I just want everyone to know, with anything and everything that happens to you in life, you are given a choice. You can either use the event that occurs in your life and let it motivate you and drive you, or you can let it bring you down. We can't always control what happens to us in this life, but we can always control how we react to it. Although we may think we plan for everything, we don't. Unexpected struggles come our way, and unwanted challenges surface. Don't get knocked down. Be courageous and confident that you will make it through. My accident was in 2008, and I was done with traditional therapy in 2011. But unfortunately, the deficits I'm stuck with, which may be lifelong, are as following. I can't verbally communicate. I can't chew solid food. My vision is so poor that I'm unable to drive. I can't use my left hand or feel my whole left side of my body, or unconsciously close my mouth. My left arm has a mind of its own and does things without me knowing. When I concentrate to close my mouth, it raises up. My legs constantly shake and twitch. I am constantly dizzy, and all my motor coordination is messed up. I feel as if I am drunk 24/7, so bad that it makes walking difficult. This is all because of one bad decision that I made in 2008. But none of these deficits will stop me. Just change how I do things. We all know life is tough. Everyone in this room will face a challenge or struggle in their lifetime. Some might not be as severe as mine, but unfortunately some could be worse. I don't know why things work out the way they do in life, but I do know that our happiness and successes are determined not by the cards we are dealt, but rather what we do with them. No matter how bad things are, they can always be worse. You, me, and everyone else in the world are given a choice. Am I going to be the victim or the victor? Remember, you don't always have a choice with what happens to you, but you always have a choice how you react to it. I would like to share a few ways I am able to stay extremely happy and positive, even with not being able to eat, talk, or drive. I don't remember if I read this or I heard it from someone, but I would like to share this with you. Make sure you always have 5 things in life, and you will lead a happy and meaningful life. Number 1, something to do and be passionate about. Something to believe in. Someone or something to love. Something to hope for. And finally, something to look forward to. This next thing I learned is the greatest thing I have ever learned, and it has changed my life. I learned it when I escaped from my hospital bed. I learned that our emotions are controlled by motions. As soon as we change our physiology, our mood changes. I would like to demonstrate this because just hearing it will do nothing. I would like everyone to sit quietly with your shoulders and head down and think of a negative time in your life. It could be anything: failed important tests, a breakup with a boyfriend or girlfriend, a death in the family, whatever. Take a minute. Okay. Now, I want you to think of good thoughts. Take a minute and now change the strategy. Think of good thoughts. Okay. All together now, we will count to 3. And on 3, I want you to stand up and scream as loud as you can, clap and celebrate like St. Anthony's just won another state title. And even if you're brave enough, I want you to bust out your favorite dance move. Ready? Let's count. Ready? 1, 2, 3. We did colleges, we did high schools, we did middle schools, we did churches, we did wrestling clubs. This unit right here beats everybody. That's right. Okay. Now, take note that the only thing that has changed is your physiology and your thoughts. Next time life hands you a lemon, I would encourage you to change your physiology by yelling, moving, or getting active. Something else I learned is that focus equals feelings. Whatever you focus on is going to determine how you feel. When I first woke up from my coma, my focus was on the fact that I had just lost everything I ever had or worked for, including my ability to talk, eat, walk, and drive. I was suicidal. As soon as I simply shifted my focus to thinking of everything I would be able to get back with hard work, I not only stopped being suicidal, but I became extremely motivated. Everyone who hears this today has an opportunity to make the right decisions before it's too late. You can choose safety over recklessness. Remember that decisions shape destiny, and only you have the power to make the right decision. Something I wanted to make clear is that I wasn't some party animal who drank all the time. I was a Division I athlete. I was always training and maintaining my weight. And I just drank socially. And one bad decision may have lifelong consequences for me. It never crossed my mind when I was partying that night that I would almost die. I'd lose my girlfriend, my career, my abilities to walk, talk, eat, drive, and put my family through an emotional hell because of one bad decision. But I did. That is why I want all of you to think of long-term consequences that may be a result of your decisions. I grew up racing motocross since I was 12 years old. I was well aware of all the safety precautions and focus you need to ride. The fact that I almost lost my life and forever changed it is because I made a poor decision due to being impaired. I made a decision to be a passenger on my buddy's ATV. It's something that I will regret forever. As I said, my goal is to have everyone who hears my presentation make a lifestyle change, to make thinking before they act a habit. You will most likely forget my message. That's why, at the end of the question and answer session, I will be handing out yellow Think Before You Act bracelets for you to wear. It will remind you of my presentation and to slow down and think before you act. In conclusion, I would like to thank all in attendance here today. Also, thanks to Grace Shackelford for presenting us the opportunity to be here today to share my story. Thanks to Coach Bob Hurley for being here and presenting us in front of you. And lastly, a special thanks to my dad's classmate and teammate, Ed Santos, for his 2 years of perseverance and not giving up and getting us here all together at St. Anthony. Thank you very much. Just one last thing. I will now take any questions or comments. Any questions I do not get to, please feel free to contact me via Facebook. My name is Mike Wojcik, W-O-J-C-I-K. My web address is on the posters we displayed. I know we're going to put them up on the doors. His web address is there. Copy it down, and feel free to call him or text him anytime. Comment me on Facebook with your opinion of my presentation, or if you simply just want to talk. We've done many of these, and I tell you, he still has kids from a middle school in Kaiser, West Virginia, who keep in contact with him. And this is 2011. We did it in 2011. It's now 2014. They're growing up, and they're seeing, they're wondering what path to take. And they get some good feedback from Mike. Thank you again. Okay, I'm sure you guys have a lot of questions. Shoot. Yes, sir.
Did his friend die? So when his friend die on the ATV?
The driver?
Yeah.
He was fine. He just had a busted up knee. Yeah, he saw it coming a split second earlier than Mike, because Mike was a passenger, so he veered off, and his knee hit the tree, but Michael flew, and his face gave the tree a big kiss, as you saw in the video. And he had a helmet on, too. It wasn't a DOT-approved dirt bike helmet. It was a bicycle helmet, but that thing shattered into a million pieces. Yes, anyone else? Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
How did you overcome his suicidal thoughts? Because
He can answer that. He says he got active. He just didn't want to just sit laying around and give up. Yes, anyone? Yes, sir.
How long did you rescue?
he started wrestling in the 8th grade, through 4 years of high school, and straight into college. He didn't wrestle his junior and senior in college because he got a neck injury. He had to take a year off from school, and he came back, but the doctor said, if you continue wrestling, you'll be paralyzed. So he had to give it up. Plus, he couldn't beat Greg Jones. By the way, Greg Jones is the most famous wrestler, one of the 3 most famous wrestlers in the USA. He was a 3-time national champ. His freshman, junior, senior year, and his sophomore year, he placed second. And Michael always tells me his NCAA tournament was every day against him in practice. Yes? Come on, I know you guys are smart. I got questions. Yes, sir, back there.
Was he like undefeated, kind of like wrestling?
No, he wasn't undefeated. 8th grade he was undefeated, but not high school. He finished, well, his senior, I can't remember his record. I think it was like 68-13. His senior year, he was 34. There was one kid he couldn't beat, Nick Roy. And ultimately, Nick Roy became a state champ. Yes?
Is he still able to coach kids to wrestle?
Well, it's pretty hard. He tried. He was offered the coaching job at St. John Vianney High School, but he turned it down. The main thing is he can't control the muscles in his mouth. And when he gets down to wrestle with the kids, he drools a lot. And also his left hand doesn't work, so you can't really grab. You know, he mentors kids. He gives presentations every time he goes back to his high school. You know, he mentors kids, but he just felt it's physically impossible. Yes, sir.
So he like, you remember like what to do, like the moves and all that stuff. You remember all that?
Want him to show you?
Oh,
Let me tell you something. You see him throwing people around in the video? You can't do that now. And I'll tell you, he can try doing it to me, and I'll tell you, he almost succeeds. He still got it, but he doesn't have When he used to come home from college during the summertime, he used me as a drill partner. I said, oh, no, I'm not losing my back because of you. So I ended up taking him to the New York Athletic Club in New York City. He raced against some pretty tough guys, Olympians from the Olympics, national champions. They had a good thing going at the New York Sports Club. Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I just wanted to know, what was your dream job towards the accident?
His dream job. I know his dream job. He just told me that it's funny because his dream job, he's doing it now. He was hired as a teacher in his high school, an assistant wrestling coach, but due to the fact that he can't speak, they had they didn't hold his job, but this is what he does. He still teaches.
Absolutely.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I'd like to thank you for coming here. I'd like to thank you for surviving, because without you surviving, we all, me included, would not have witnessed this excellent show that you put on. And you are doing a great job.
Thank you.
This is one of those times in your life when there's nothing I can say to you other than reflect on how you live in your life. This is very close to us. This is a friar and a family member, and something that, you know, we want nothing but the best for all of you. And what you heard again, just like when we had Bo Dietl here 2 months ago, and he talked about count to 3 before you make any decision in life, okay? This is living proof, but yet it's also the human spirit and what he's been able to do with as many, he's overcome as many things as a person could. And the fact that he's here to share it with us today, it is such a powerful thing. I'm so happy that we were able to bring him here, and you have to have been affected by this, because I look around the room here, and we have never had, and you will never be involved in a room again that will have this much emotion. Why don't we give him a standing ovation?